The Russian army continues its successful offensive in almost all directions of the combat contact line. Simultaneously with this, nearly every day, the Russian armed forces continue to launch massive missile strikes against military installations and energy infrastructure facilities in Ukraine. By the way, on the night of November 5, 2024, the Russian Aerospace Forces, together with missile forces, launched another massive missile strike on the territory of Ukraine. This time, the central and southern regions of Ukraine, including the key cities of the Odessa region, were subjected to massive missile strikes. Many independent experts and analysts from numerous Western think tanks associate the successes of the Russian army on the battlefield precisely with the daily missile attacks on Ukraine. According to them, daily surgical Russian missile strikes on Ukraine not only disable the logistics hubs of the Ukrainian army, but also destroy dozens of command posts and decision-making centers, responsible for the actions of Ukrainian troops in various areas of the front. In addition, regular massive Russian missile strikes also destroy the manpower of the Ukrainian army and foreign mercenaries, depriving the Ukrainian High Military Command of the opportunity to rotate troops in time and strengthen the flanks. All this led to the fact that Russian troops seized the initiative in all directions of the front, including the Kursk region. However, it is worth recognizing that the Russian army has achieved the most impressive successes in the Donbass, in the Pokrovsk and Korokovo directions of the front. In particular, over the last 48 hours alone, in the Korokovo direction of the front, Russian troops managed to liberate 4 strategically important settlements: Maximovka, TRUDOVOYE, Stepanovka, and Ilyinka. By the way, a well-known German journalist and one of the most ardent Russophobes in Europe, Julian Rapp, has recently started calling things by their proper names. In particular, he stopped hiding the failures of the Ukrainian army from the German public. In addition, Julian Rapp also began to harshly criticize the Kiev authorities for their military adventure in the Kursk region, as a result of which the Ukrainian army lost not only key cities and towns of Donbass, but also more than 30,000 soldiers. In this regard, many Ukrainian politicians have already accused Julian Rapp of betraying Ukraine and becoming an agent of the Kremlin. Ukrainian politicians also did not like yesterday's statement by this German journalist. In particular, he said that in the coming days, due to the high risk of being surrounded, the Ukrainian army units will be forced to surrender to the Russian troops not only the city of Korokovo, but also 20 settlements southeast of the village of Andriivka, which will mark a crushing defeat of Ukrainian army in the Donbass. It is also worth noting today's success of Russian troops in the Pokrovsk direction of the front. In particular, a few hours ago, war correspondents confirmed that the Russian army had launched an offensive against enemy positions along the railway, west of the city of Seladovo. It is reported that Russian troops have already approached the outskirts of the settlement of Petrovka. Simultaneously with this, Russian troops are also attacking the positions of the Ukrainian army in Grigorovka, from the recently liberated Vyshnevoye. According to war correspondents, as of November 6, 2024, units of the 15th Brigade of the Ukrainian Army had to leave their positions in the area of Grigorovka and Petrovka. However, the bad news for the Ukrainian General Staff did not end there. On November 5, at 4 p.m. Moscow time, many Russian war correspondents stated that the motorized rifle units of the Russian army, after the liberation of the village of Novoalexeyevka, also managed to approach Yurievka and gain a foothold in the eastern outskirts of this village. In general, even Ukrainian telegram channels admit that if the offensive pace of the Russian army does not decrease, then by mid-November of this year, Russian troops will approach the gates of Pokrovsk. Meanwhile, on the night of November 5, Russia launched another massive missile attack on the territory of Ukraine. This time, military facilities of the Ukrainian army and NATO forces located in such regions of Ukraine as Kyiv, Poltava, Kharkiv, and Odessa were subjected to massive missile attacks. It is noteworthy that during this missile attack, the Russian military used a record number of germanium kamikaze drones. According to preliminary data, about 150 kamikaze drones were launched on the territory of Ukraine last night. And judging by the incoming information, this tactic has already yielded positive results. It is reported that last night the Ukrainian air defense systems were unable to shoot down even one ballistic or cruise missile. So, in the Kyiv region, Russian ballistic missiles, together with kamikaze drones, hit the territory of the international airport in the city of Boryspil. As a result of this attack, a heavy fire started on the territory of this airport. It is reported that firefighters still cannot cope with the fire. Let me remind you that the Kyiv authorities have turned this international airport into a transshipment point, through which NATO countries supply Ukraine with valuable war materials. In the Poltava region, in the southwestern part of the city of Kremenchuk, independent monitoring services recorded two powerful explosions. Unfortunately, there is still no exact data on what exactly was destroyed in this city. In the Kharkiv region, in the southwestern part of the city of Chugov, Russian kamikaze drones, together with Kh-101 cruise missiles, hit the places of temporary deployment of personnel of the Ukrainian army and foreign mercenaries. And finally, in the Odessa region, at least 5 Russian Iskander-M ballistic missiles, together with dozens of germanium kamikaze drones, hit the area of artillery depots in the city of Volgograd. In addition, Russian missiles also rained down on the port part of the city of Izmail. It is reliably known that as a result of this missile attack, a large bulk carrier was hit. The NATO leadership used this bulk carrier to deliver weapons and soldiers to Ukraine. At the time of the missile attack, there were so-called British mercenaries on board this ship, as well as British maritime drones, intended for the Ukrainian army. It is reported that many of these mercenaries were active-duty soldiers of the British Army. Unfortunately, as of November 6, 2024, there is no accurate data on the number of casualties among British soldiers. At the same time, it is worth noting that immediately after this missile attack, Romania sent about 10 of its helicopters to Izmail, to evacuate the wounded and dead. All this indicates that not ordinary mercenaries were killed in Izmail, but real NATO soldiers and officers.